Well, welcome everyone. We will get started in just a minute here. In case you haven't been on one of these Zoom webinars before, we have a couple different features here. The Q&A section down at the bottom of your screen is where you can enter questions. We will try and leave a little bit of time for questions, and even if we don't get to all of them, we will be able to track them and be able to figure out how to give you guys some answers online. We are recording this so that we can post it also to YouTube for families who couldn't join us. So I will turn it over to Teresa Campbell, our Blue Heron principal.
All right, welcome Blue Heron students and families. This is certainly an unusual way to hold our back to school night, and I can tell you based on all the staff that's been in the building already this week, we tremendously miss having this opportunity to see you in person, but we're going to do the best we can by doing this virtually instead. So you're going to see right now, and in fact, if all of my teachers that are panelists will go ahead and show their video, we're going to do a short introduction of each teacher and talk a little bit about what the school year will look like this year. So normally what I would do is have them all come running up by their subject area team. There's no running up this time, but we're gonna call out the math team first. So the Blue Heron math team. I will start with Jennifer Manning.
Hi there, I'm Jennifer Manning, and I'll be teaching 6th and 7th grade math this year. Looking forward to it.
Great.
Hi, my name is Wayne Schaefer. I'll be teaching 6th grade math, 8th grade math, and Algebra 1 this year.
Excellent. So those of you who are unsure, Wayne Schaefer is actually new to us. He was at the high school previously and is our brand new math teacher in the building. So we welcome Wayne to the Blue Heron staff. Next, let's go ahead and have the social studies team introduce themselves.
Okay, Dawn's not jumping in, so I will. I'm Leslie Shively, and I teach 6th and 8th grade social studies.
And I'm Don Oliveira. I also teach 6th grade social studies. We split it, and I teach all of 7th grade social studies, and in the spring, Washington State history.
Excellent. And both Mr. Oliveira and Ms. Shively are longtime Blue Heron staff and coming back to join us. So wonderful. Next, let's go ahead with our science team, starting with Mr. Mills. We'll go in order.
Hi, I'm Mr. Mills. I teach 6th grade science.
And I'm not sure that Mr. Weibel is on our call yet, but Jeff Weibel is returning as the 7th grade science teacher.
I'm Niall Toomey, and I'm the 8th grade science teacher.
Excellent. So pretty easy with science. 6th, 7th, and 8th will have each teach their own separate grade levels. And then with our ELA team, our English language arts team, Melissa Nagy will not be with us for the first half of the year. Again, she typically teaches 6th grade, and she will be with us for the second half of the year, starting 2nd semester. But we are very lucky to have our Becca Gimlet as our reading intervention specialist is going to be doing the 6th grade English language arts classes for the first semester, and in addition to doing some reading support. So Becca, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Becca Gimlet. My cats will probably Zoom bomb us in a moment. I'm really excited to be your 6th grade English language arts teacher and also continue to help 7th and 8th graders with their reading.
Excellent. And then let's go to 7th grade ELA.
Hey, this is Carol Light, and I'm an old hand at Blue Heron, but from long ago. And I'm back. I was at Ocean last year, and this year I'll be teaching 7th grade language arts. We're going to do a trip around the world in 180 days. You have to pack light. Make sure you bring your toothbrush, your passport, and that's pretty much all you're going to need besides some good reading materials. So I'm looking forward to traveling with you. being mental travelers with you all year long. Thanks.
Excellent. And then 8th grade.
I'm Melinda Schroeder. I'm 8th grade ELA, longtime Blue Heron individuals here. So
Great. What you may have noticed there is a particular ELA teacher who is missing from the group is Mr. Navin. So fortunately for us, Mr. Brett Navin is going to be the new Dean of Students. So for those of you who didn't know, Mrs. Russell retired. We will miss her very much. But Mr. Navin is going to be the Dean of Students and the Athletic Director and teach one special group of PE. So Mr. Navin?
Sorry for the delay. Hi, everybody. Looking forward to trying to replace Miss Russell, and we'll see you in other capacities.
Great. So moving on then, more with PE, we have Mr. Mark Tallarico, our PE teacher.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Tallarico, teaching 6th, 7th, 8th PE and health.
Great, and Mr. Tallarico has also been here a long time, so all Blue Heron students returning know Mr. Tallarico, and we have a new face though to our elective classes, and that is our art teacher, Christy Boyd, and she can tell you a little bit about herself. Christy?
Hi everybody, I'm really excited to be here at Blue Heron this year, and I will be teaching art.
Excellent. Moving on, we have our orchestra taught by Daniel Furland.
Hello, I'll teach 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade orchestra. 6th grade will be more of a pre-band and orchestra class we'll be teaching together, getting kids ready for when they can get instruments.
Great, and his partner is Kim Clark. I don't see her on the call yet. So Kim Clark teaches our band for 6th, 7th, and 8th as well. And then we also, speaking of math, have an excellent math intervention support person, and that is Melinda Pongray.
Hi, good to talk to you. I'm looking forward to working this year with everyone who has a math question. That'll be really fun.
Great. Okay, moving on, a couple of people that are not pictured here, but important for you to know. Mr. John Burke and Miss Betsy Snyder-Johnson are our special education teachers and support our students on IEPs. Mr. Burke will not be here for the first semester. We are looking for a leave replacement, so we don't have that person to share with you quite yet. But Mrs. Snyder-Johnson will be back, and Joy Wenzel will be here again as our school librarian, shared with Salish Coast and Port Townsend High School. And then we have Donna Benson, who's on the call, not in the video, but Donna, do you want to share a bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. It's a little delayed, but I got it. I'm looking forward to seeing you when we can. We know many of you students, and we look forward to you coming back. The 6th graders coming in, we welcome you to Blue Heron.
Great. And Donna Benson, again, is that person in the front office, along with Jess Winsheimer. Jess and Donna are the go-to people for a building that have all the answers to all the questions you may have. So they're the people you need to see. And then another very important person that you will get to know if you don't already is Kirsten Bledsoe, our school counselor.
Hello, everybody. I'm so looking forward to seeing hopefully many of you in person, and then others will just continue Zooming and making the best out of this year. And I know that some of you, we just sent out schedules today. We've been working truly fast and furious, and unfortunately for some, not totally fast enough. So I'm late on some of your schedules, and I do apologize, but they will be coming as soon as possible. Please believe me. And then I want to give a special shout out to our 6th graders. I know there's probably lots of questions that you have and lots of things you're wondering about, and we just want you to know that we will make sure that you get your answers. And some of it might not happen until the first day of school, but look at all these wonderful teachers and all these great people. We are here to make sure you know what to do, where to go. You will not be left alone. You will find out all the things you need to. We're just so excited to have you join Blue Heron.
Great. I think that's it for my list, but coming late to the party was Mr. Jeff Weibel, so now he gets to be called out and introduce himself separately.
I'm frantically getting my room ready for you guys, and I am this year teaching just 7th grade science. I'm super excited to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Weibel. So speaking of frantic, we have been working on getting the building ready for those students who are coming to us in the blended learning model, where you'll be here 2 days a week in person. And so we've put a lot together for that. And in fact, Ms. Bledsoe and Mr. Navin and Jess helped me today to create a video. So very shortly, by tomorrow, we're hoping, there will be a video available on the Blue Heron website where you can see what it looks like to be a blended learning student and how you would arrive, how you get off the bus, all of the things you might need to know about what it'll look like on that first day that you come and see us in person. And then hopefully in your schedules, you were able to kind of see what the flow of your day will look like, either the in-person days along with the online, or if you are a distance learning student, it would be the Zoom times and then the online time separately. So there's quite a lot of information that came out. And then please know for all families that by Friday, we will also have a very comprehensive safety expectations guide for you. For what that looks like for everyone who's coming in blended model, along with the map. So you'll kind of see the school map too, and what spaces we're utilizing and what that flow looks like for when we do have movement. So I think that's it for the basics of what we wanted to share. And then I think we just plan a lot of time here for some questions you may have. And I'm taking a look, a couple of specifics about schedules. So I believe those are ones that, again, Ms. Bledsoe will be getting out very shortly, some specialized. There's a question in here from Jediah Sanders. Does athletic director mean PE teacher? Mr. Navin.
No, Jediah, it does not. Athletic director is for the interscholastic sports, football, soccer, volleyball, cross country, track, wrestling.
Do you want to tell maybe a little bit about what we know about that at this time?
Which are not going to happen. We have no fall sports this year. We're hoping to start basketball in December, basketball and wrestling. That'll be season 2. And then the fall sports will be season 3, which will begin at the end of March and go until early May. May 8th at this point is the cutoff date for that. And March 27th to May 8th. So that'll be football, volleyball, and cross country, and then we'll throw track. Track will be mixed in there too in the spring.
Great. I'm seeing a question here. What if 2 same age children in my family are not in the same germ pod? What if 2 same age children in my family are not in the same germ pod? Well, first of all, we are not calling them germ pods here. We're calling them cohorts. And so each grade level actually has a total of 6 cohorts. So let's say 6th grade on an A schedule day, there would be 2 cohorts that are going to meet here in person in 2 separate classrooms in the 6th grade pod, not a germ pod, a pod. So those 2 classrooms, those 2 cohorts will meet on an A day. There will be a 3rd cohort that is meeting with teachers through Zoom, through distance learning on that same day. So on a B day, it would be the same 2 in person and then 1 that is distance learning through Zoom. And so what we really tried to do here for safety purposes was ensure that in our classrooms, those 2 classrooms that we have set up in each pod, we have space for 16 kids actually spread out with the 6-foot distancing guidelines. And right now our numbers are down to around 11 to 12 for most of you. So you will actually be in a cohort in a classroom with just 11 or 12 kids. So hopefully that answered that question.
May I add something to that?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the two children you're talking about, there I can definitely explain that more privately. But the other thing too is that, you know, just how children in the same family, our main goal was to make sure they come on the same day. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will need to be in the same cohort, in the actual same group, but they should be both coming on the same day.
Yeah, thank you. We have a question. Is it possible to have my son's schedule emailed to me as well as to his school email? So we are, again, fast and furiously getting everything put into Skyward. And by Friday, again, hoping that as long as we have all of your information in Skyward, we will do some mailings at that time. And that's where you will get your safety expectations and guidelines, and you'll get that map, and you'll get a welcome back letter from me, and I believe Mr. Navin has one as well. So as of right now, we had Chromebook pickup day, both Monday and Tuesday, and then some people were kind of scheduling to come pick up their Chromebooks on different days. As soon as you do that, your child will receive all of the important information they need on their logins and have their emails and everything set. So it's pretty purposeful as well that we really want kids to get logged into their email and check and try and find their schedules today. We have a question, how do we get our student Gmail accounts? So hopefully that answered that question. If you haven't already, please call and make arrangements to come and pick up all of your important materials that you need for your child, along with picking up their Chromebook, which will be really important. Okay, lots of things moving around on here. Let's see.
I'll just add one that's in the chat. Would someone be able to talk more about what the distance only option will look like, especially with regards to classes like PE, band, and art?
Yes, so when you receive the schedule, again, it's really pretty clearly laid out in there what that looks like when you have distance learning. There will be 2 days of the week, whether you're A cohort or B cohort, it'll change which days of the week you will actually have your instruction that is a Zoom class online. So you are in a cohort still with a small group. I believe that we're right around 17, 18 kids and the online cohorts, the distance only cohorts. So when you log on to Zoom with your teacher for instruction during that time that's set in the schedule, you will actually do a full Zoom meeting with everybody in that cohort that you were with. And so twice a week, that'll be that same group of kids that you're meeting with on Zoom for each of those classes following that same schedule. And then what's the second part of that, Sarah? Was that about what it'll look like for band and orchestra?
Yeah, and PE, band, and art.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so similarly, those things are kind of being figured out right now as well. What we are really planning is for the kids that are coming in person for the blended model, what the instruction looks like that the kids are receiving here in person will be what the instruction looks like for the kids through Zoom. So it'll be the same lesson. How we're doing that for distance learning is through Zoom instead of being in person for those 2 days a week that they log in and they actually have that class with their cohort.
This is a great question, which is when do classes start and what time will they be?
That is a great question. Again, it's in the schedule, but you will follow the schedule. Online, it's slightly different where you may have a check-in that's a bit earlier, starting at 8 o'clock, depending on what grade level you are. You may have one of your check-ins on your online day starting at 8. Here at school for kids that are coming for blended learning, you can start to arrive at campus at 8 o'clock. We really can't have kids coming here any sooner than 8 o'clock. We can't have large groups of kids or even small groups of kids hanging out outside. So once we enter campus, again, we'll have to follow those safety protocols. So anytime after 8 o'clock, students that enter campus will actually be able to come in and get started right away in unpacking their things and getting into their classroom after they've done their wellness check with us. So they'll go to the classroom. Actual classes that start in person at the normal 8:25. School starts at 8:25 for in person. We'll do announcements And you'll see on your schedule that 8:30 is academic success.
And what day should all of our learners at Blue Heron be ready to start learning and have classes?
That is a great question. So if on your schedule, you were going to follow Tuesday, we start on Tuesday, September 8th. So whatever it's saying on your Tuesday schedule, that's when you will be expected to start. So kids that are in person on a B cohort day would be here in person on that Tuesday. Kids that are Zooming and distance learning that are B cohort would start Zooming with their classes on that day. And kids that are on an A cohort day would start their online playlist and their online check-ins on that day. So Tuesday, September 8th, school starts for Blue Heron.
And this is a great question. I can add a little bit, but maybe someone at Blue Heron might want to add a little more, which is, are buses available? So yes, buses are available, and we have safety protocols. The bus schedule just got posted under departments, transportation today. Maybe Donna or Kirsten from Blue Heron, do you have anything else to add about buses or what a family should do if they have questions about buses? The best option is to call the bus barn, and their number's on the transportation page if you have some questions about what's the right route for your student.
Yes, so we do know that there are still 8 buses that are running, so your child will still be on, if you choose to ride by bus, they still will be picked up on the buses. We have a schedule kind of set here where they will kind of be staggered in as they're arriving in the parking lot. And again, students will exit the bus using safety protocol and do their health screening right at that time before entering the building.
Great. So we have a couple of questions from students. Savannah says she just got her online schedule and she's feeling pretty overwhelmed and worried about the amount of work that needs to be done and wants to know why there's so much work. So I don't know if anyone could talk a little bit about the workload for a middle school student and our plan to help support them.
I can take that one if no one else wants to chime in. So all of the schedule, I saw a question also on here about electives for students. All of the schedules, whether it's a blended learning model that you chose or a distance learning model that you chose, everyone has the same options. So all students will have their 4 core classes. And those 4 core classes, the English language arts, math, science, and social studies, will be putting out each week the playlist, similar to what the playlist looked like last spring. You will get a playlist in your Google Classrooms. You'll know exactly what the expectations are for the week. There'll be instruction. There will be assignments. We will count attendance. We are required by the state to count attendance this year. However, we are planning so that there are 3 days in your schedule of time that you are doing that online work at your own pace, check in with your teachers at certain times, but that's your time to work on the playlist. So in terms of work, it's all being planned around 3 days. The 2 days of the week that you either meet in person here in school or you are Zooming with your teacher are going to be days where your teacher is going to help reinforce and support what is it that's in that playlist. So it's not going to be an overwhelming amount of work that we're putting out there. We actually have a lot of built-in support within the 5 days of the week that's in your schedule. And at the same time, there will be some opportunities for some students on Wednesdays to come in to have additional help if you are doing the blended model. In addition to that, when you are doing that online work on those days that it's just online, you will be checking in and there will be a teacher available right at that time in that subject area to help you through Zoom if you want to log in and get additional support at that time in more of a Zoom open forum meeting with a teacher.
And I want to apologize, it wasn't Savannah. Savannah is the mom. I apologize. That was Kiefer's question.
Okay.
So thank you for that good question. We have a couple. Oh, go ahead.
I think I can field Samara's question. Just
okay, great.
I think we're familiar with each other. So about the Google Classroom logging in, the first time that you see your teacher, I'm pretty sure whichever the subject, We're going to walk through the technology expectations of the classroom and ensure everybody's in Google Classroom. I could almost say that we are not going to open up the Google Classroom until that first day of school. So I wouldn't concern yourself with trying to get into it right away. And it's going to be a very step-by-step process. Probably the first day or two of school is just ensuring that you have all the tools you need to make sure you're successful. Sorry.
Thank you. That's a good helpful tip. So you get until the first day of school before you have to worry about your Google Classroom.
Yeah.
Someone asked, are we serving breakfast like previous years? Do you want to talk a little bit about both breakfast and lunch, Teresa? Because that's a great question.
Yes, it is a great question. Both breakfast and lunch will be available for students. It would just be in the classroom, and if you are ordering a breakfast or ordering a lunch, that will be delivered to you in the classroom instead of going to the Commons. So there will be no entry into the Commons. We won't even use the Commons this year. So everything is being done in the classroom. With good weather days, we do have 3 brand new nice lawn tents that we're setting up outside of our building and hoping to have as many lunches out there as possible during our lunch hours. So there's one for 6th grade, one for 7th grade, one for 8th grade. So again, as much as possible, it may be some of your classes, but for sure lunches, we will try and get kids outside to eat lunch.
And I just want to add a little bit about food service. So through December 31st, all meals will continue to be free for all families, whether they qualify or not. We still want families to fill out that free and reduced application because that helps provide a lot of other services. And then food service will also be sending out a survey before the first day of school for families to let us know which days they'll be eating at school and which days they will be eating at home, and whether they need pickup or delivery of those meals. So we're really dedicated to getting every kid who needs meals for breakfast and lunch.
Great.
We have quite a few questions about electives.
Yes.
So wanting to know, did you get all those?
No, I was actually just thinking I got through the 4 core classes. In addition to the 4 core classes, all 6th graders will have 2 days of PE instruction. So if you are here for the blended model, you will be going to 2 PE classes with either Mr. Tallarico or Mr. Navin, and you will actually be doing physical activities. Mr. Tallarico, do you want to talk a little bit about what some of the plans are for that and what we hope to do with kids for the blended version?
Yeah, there'll still be the Google Classroom part, but when they're in the school, we're going to have different activities, some fitness things, and mostly to be outside. I want to get outside as much as we can. We do have our bike safety unit I'd like to do in the fall, so try and get that going.
Okay. And if it's not a good weather day and we need to be inside, remember those cohorts are down to 11 or 12 kids. So we have a very large gym that we can spread out our students if we need to be inside for PE instruction as well. So a lot of spread out, very individualized physical movements, and also mask wearing. So we will be wearing masks anytime we're in the building. We will have masks on. The only exception will be when eating lunch. Everything else will have mask. So that 6th graders have 2 PE, and they will also have either band or orchestra. So that's the second choice for them, is band or orchestra, but they'll have 4 core classes, PE, and band or orchestra. 7th graders will have 4 core classes. They will have PE 1 day a week. They will have art for their 2nd day of the week. And then they also have that opportunity to have a 3rd elective if they want to continue on with both band and orchestra. Will have that online opportunity for 7th and 8th graders. Same goes for 8th grade. 1 day a week of PE, 1 day a week of art, and then band or orchestra if you choose to continue with that with the online.
So we have one question about PE. for probably Mr. Tellerico, will students be able to change for PE days? And do we have to have PE clothes?
You will not be able to use the locker room. So when you're, I guess what you can do is wear your PE clothes for the day you have PE. That's my suggestion. The most important thing is the right shoes. Just have athletic shoes so you can participate.
And then maybe for band or orchestra, to clarify a little bit, like what does that look like for distance learning, band and orchestra? And just some clarification around whether those electives are for everyone, distance learners and blended learners?
Yes. Everyone has the same schedule. So whether it's blended or it's distance, everyone has 4 core classes, the PE, the art if you're 7th and 8th grade. If you're 6th grade, it's PE, band or orchestra, and then that choice for 7th and 8th graders of also adding band or orchestra. Everything is the same for distance or blended. And Mr. Furlan, do you want to answer the question about instruction?
For the 6th graders, we're probably not going to start instruments right away. We're probably going to delay that a little bit until we get a clearer picture, and also just not to overwhelm the kids as they're getting started. So we will have class online. Ms. Clark and I will probably do some pre-band type activities, learn a little bit about music and some of the things that you would need to know in order to be successful. So if you're a 6th grader and you're kind of worried about, I don't have an instrument, I'm not sure what to do, it's okay. We're going to help you out. It's going to be a little bit slow going at the beginning, but we're going to get everybody caught up, get you on the same page. And then when we have a little bit of time under our belt together, then we will explore the next steps as far as instruments go. As far as 7th and 8th grade, our 7th and 8th graders, we will reach out to those students who we know already pretty well, and we will make sure that they do have instruments if they don't own their own instrument at home. And we will do a little bit of individual back and forth, working with the students on some things that they've already started at the end of last year. And then we'll kind of move forward with them, and we will kind of find our footing together. But we will find a way to actually play and overcome the technology and the distance that we have at this point in time.
So there's a few questions just really about that checking in for distance learning. So there's one, what happens if I check in late? Do I have to check in every hour on the hour? What if our family's doing some outside learning? So if there's any clarification you want to give about that online check-in.
Yeah. In the document that was included with your schedule, there were 2 documents, and one of them is specific around attendance. So whether we have kids that are coming here in person and doing their check-in, or we have kids that are Zooming on 2 days a week and then also doing an online check-in on the other days, it's really important, again, with the state of Washington, that we track attendance. And for secondary classes, that's tracking attendance by class. So it's really clearly laid out in those documents. If you read through that and you still have questions, please feel free to come back and ask us. But it's really well laid out that there are certain times in the day that you'll have within an hour for most of them to do your check-in. And the check-in is a very simple, go onto your Google Classroom and answer a survey question, do something like that. The expectation is that you'd be working on your playlist in your own time during that hour, continuing on and making sure that you're set with a schedule so you can be successful. But the check-ins are really important, that it happens within that time frame, that it shows in your schedule that you need to be doing that for each of your classes. And that's how we check attendance and put it into Skyward. And then through Skyward, we'll notify families if kids are not following along with that online check-in time.
So there's just a couple people that still have questions about, like, if they haven't gotten their schedule yet. I think, understandably, they just kind of want to know when they should expect to get that schedule if it's not yet in their kids' email account. Also, maybe Kirsten, that someone has I think there's some very specific questions just about their personal kid's schedule that maybe isn't matching with what we're saying. And so what should they do if they have those questions still?
I think realistically, it's really hard for me to give an exact timeline for when to expect it. I will try to do some more this evening, but then tomorrow we have a full day of training, and so there's just the reality of those kinds of things. So I can just say we're working on it as quickly as possible, definitely by the end of the week though. So in terms of specific schedule questions, that I think they can, parents can definitely email me yeah, I think for schedule questions, probably email me and we will go from there. I'm also kind of looking in the Q&A section and I'm kind of trying to answer things in the Q&A as I see them if they're schedule related. So hopefully that's helpful too. I'm going to look through all those questions again right now.
Great, perfect. There's a couple more questions about PE, just about wearing masks during PE and how that's going to go. What about if a student has asthma? But also questions like, are we going to do the sports unit? What if a student is doing competitive sports? Could they opt out of PE? So I don't know if you want to address some of those, Teresa, or then maybe Mr. Tellerico can also address what PE might look like.
Well, I would say if there are circumstances where you are wondering if you can opt out, that would be something that you would need to contact Ms. Bledsoe and myself. We make those determinations, and it happens very, very rarely. So a lot of what PE is going to be set up as this year is more of tracking and recording what your physical activity is for the week. So that would be an opportunity if they play some sort of sports outside of school, they can use that as part of the time. However, another part, as Mr. Tellerico mentioned, is what happens on the Google Classroom and what the instruction looks like around PE that way. And there's an expectation that everyone is part of PE and it's a required course for us. Do you want to answer anything else in there, Mr. Tellerico, about that? Or Mr. Navin?
It was Dr. Locke who told us that masks needed to be worn in the gymnasium.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so Dr. Locke for Jefferson County, he is the authority who is telling us what happens, everything in town, all the restaurants, all the guidelines for everything, and the same with school. He had to approve our plan, and Dr. Locke made it very clear that every student that is choosing to be here on campus must wear a mask. So there aren't going to be exceptions to that. If you're here, you have to wear a mask, and we have to have, even in the gym, even during physical activity in the gym will be much lighter, not a lot of heavy breathing, running around. Correct, Mr. Tellerico?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we will take that into consideration. And if kids need to sit out or they're not feeling like they can do that with their mask on, we'll definitely make exceptions for that. But kids have to have their mask on while they're here in our building.
Dr. Locke also explained that when you have the mask on and you're exercising, it's more in your head than it is actually in your body, because when you feel like you can't breathe as much, because your oxygen levels actually remain the same as if you didn't have a mask. It's just because you're breathing right so close to your face that it feels like the air is not as good, but it's just kind of all in your head.
We have a good question just about our health, our wellness screening. So they're asking, what else is the school going to do in addition to the wellness screening that families will fill out in Skyward?
Yes, so we will take everyone's temperature. So we'll check to see, did families fill out the screening that needs to happen in Skyward? That's the first step before you leave the house in the morning. Please make sure you answer those questions. And then as they arrive to school, it's a different process getting off the bus. Your temperature check would happen right there. If you're arriving at school, being dropped off by parents or walking or biking, there are different entry points into the building where we'll do the health screening temperature check there. So it'll be a temperature check. That's all in the video too. You will get to see that, and the safety guidelines on Friday will really clearly outline as well all of this information.
Good. And another, as long as we're on health and safety, there's one more, and then we're going to have some curriculum questions. So are neck gaiter style masks acceptable? And I even probably can answer this one. What we're asking students to wear is at least 2 layers of fabric in their mask. And we are going to send out some details about what makes an acceptable mask versus what are some of those masks that aren't good options. So if the neck gaiter is not, doesn't meet those standards of having multiple layers and fitting tight to the face, then that wouldn't be a good option. We do have lots of masks at school that we can provide for students. That we have purchased masks, as well as we have great community volunteers who've made masks. So if your family doesn't have enough masks, because of course you're going to want to clean your mask and wash it every night, so you might need a few extras because you also want to bring at least 1 extra to school. So if you don't have that, you can let the front office at Blue Heron know, and they will make sure that you get a couple of masks. And I know also the county just got their shipment of children's masks, so some of our Blue Heron students might need a smaller size mask. So we are well positioned to make sure you have what you need if you don't already have the mask you need, because you do want one that you really feel comfortable in all day. Yeah. So we have 2 or 3 curriculum questions. So one person just wanted to know, what is the curriculum going to look like, and sort of how does that compare to how things looked in the spring? And then I think this kind of goes with that, is just, you know, what are the standards that will be covered, and are we slowing or changing our pacing for this year?
I would love to hear from one of the classroom teachers about what that looks like. As I did mention, everyone will follow the same pattern of putting the playlist out. For each class that you are in, you will get the playlist that will include 3 days worth of instruction for you to do at your own pace, that asynchronous instruction we talked about. So everything will be in that playlist that will account for 3 of your days of your week. So does any one teacher want to answer more about that, what it looks like for our standards, or how that instruction might look for you?
I'll stick my head in as long as
Thank
nobody's going to. For me, I will try to ensure in my class that we pace it correctly so that you're not overwhelmed. At the same time, the standards from OSPI have not changed. Okay, so there's still the demand for rigor and the challenge, but we're going to ensure you can meet those challenges. So don't want to feel that, I think saying we're going to make it easier would be probably the wrong wording to use in the wrong context. We need to still ensure that we think of the challenge and the rigor, but that it's going to be paced appropriately for the time at which we have.
I agree. We're not going to try and cram what was formerly 5 days of work into the 3 you're going to do at home. We're going to make that an appropriate amount. And the other thing is, like Ms. Campbell pointed out earlier, is that you will have teachers available throughout the day that you can ask questions to, either in small groups or one-on-one. So there will be lots of people available to help you out with things if you need that. But Mr. Oliveira is correct. We are going to provide you the very best opportunity for you guys to become better thinkers. And for me in science, it's being able to do the things you need to be able to take with you to succeed in 7th and 8th grade as you go along. So it is going to be a lot of work, but we expect that it's also going to be a pretty fun and interesting time.
We actually have brand new science curriculum this year that was adopted. So our science teachers were just getting some more training on that today. Some of it you'll be familiar with if you were with Mr. Weibel or Mr. Mills last year. And for Mr. Toomey is brand new to the curriculum this year, but it's a great curriculum that has a lot of online components to that will be very helpful in you doing the work on your playlist. I saw a question in there. in the question and answer about notebooks, and that's really a big part of this as well. We aren't going to have as much of the paper pencil notebook kind of use. You certainly can buy some notebooks for you to use at home as you'd like to, but a lot more is going to be done virtually and through that playlist, and there will be Google Documents and things that you'll be adding to and submitting through Google Classroom, much like you were doing in the spring.
Teresa, can I just add one little thing about the standards that we have at each grade level? In the spring, we took some time to prioritize key standards. So in math, I can speak to that. We really tried to flag the key content that is going to help students be successful in later years. So it does mean we will have less time to cover all the expectations, all the standards, but we feel like we've invested time to prioritize the standards that are critical.
We have kind of a related question, which is, does this mean the playlist comes each Monday morning?
Yes.
Well, actually, the playlists, our goal, and we're going to give our teachers grace, but our goal is teachers will have that posted Friday by 5 p.m. On our e-learning website, because we did hear from families that maybe are also working while they're supporting their learners at home, that families need a little bit of time before school begins on Monday to get oriented and help get their students set right. So the goal is Friday by 5 p.m., but we'll give our teachers grace as they get used to that system.
Mm-hmm. And important to keep in mind at the same time that something new may be rolling out for the new week, that other playlist will still be there and available for kids to finish up over the weekend as well. So we want to make sure we give as much time as possible for kids to get things done and be successful.
We have a couple of people who maybe just need a little clarification about from families. Do families need to sign in to Skyward every day to do their wellness screening?
Yes, you will need to sign in every day, do the wellness screening before your child leaves the house, so that when they arrive on campus, we can check through the list and make sure that that screening has been completed. So signing in every day and answering those 2 questions every day.
So every day that my student attends school.
Correct. Oh,
in
that
person.
was the question. Yes, it's all about being in person.
For most families, that would mean twice a week. I will say I'm a parent of 2 kids, so I've already had a chance to try this out since I'm an employee. And if you have a smartphone, the Skyward app is really easy. You just need to know your login once, and then you can set a passcode on it so that you don't have to remember that kind of more complicated login. And it's very easy on the app. It kind of pops up right away, and I can do myself as an employee and both kids really easy. So that might be a good option. There is a little video we've already sent out, and we'll send it out again before your student's first in-person learning day for that as well.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. It all happens when you're here in person.
Mm-hmm. For those of us that are coming to work every day, it happens every day. Yes. So there's a couple of questions about, like, what if a student is falling behind, or what's that support for special ed students, both in distance learning and blended learning? If you want to speak a little bit to some extra supports for both types of learners.
Mm-hmm. Kirsten, do you want to maybe help with that one? What we have planned for extra support?
Sure. Sorry, I was looking at questions. I would say that there are a couple of things. In terms of special education support, that's really going to be a conversation between the case manager of your student's IEP and you and as the parent. If your student is a blended student and is receiving what we call a resource room services or a resource room class directly from the special education teacher, you will probably be contacted about seeing if you want your student to attend additional time that can be available. And then that additional time at school can really be to support them with their playlist learning and their asynchronous learning. And so again, you will get more information about that from your student's IEP case manager And again, this is specifically for students who have resource room classes. And then I think Principal Campbell already mentioned that, you know, we are looking at providing additional support services on Wednesdays, and that can be on an as needed basis for you know, any of our students that teachers feel like, or that potentially parents feel like, or that we're students who feel like they need additional support. But that schedule is still being worked out. And so that will not start the first Wednesday, and possibly not even the second Wednesday of the school year. So we will definitely give more information about the Wednesday piece as it's getting developed.
Thank you. I'll answer this one. Someone asked, is there a projected date to return full-time to physical learning? So right now, we don't have a projected date for when we would change into a different learning model. Our superintendent, Gessner, meets regularly with Dr. Locke, our local health official, and we continue to work with him about whether our model is the right model given the health data. And we'll continue to work with him, and we'll see where it goes. A lot of what happens in the schools really has to do with what the community is doing. So, you know, it's really been important that our community has been wearing masks and using social distancing, which has enabled us to be one of the school districts that is able to come back for some in-person learning for students. But we don't have a projected date right now for a shift to another model. And then we have a couple questions just about like how many hours of online learning do students need to do when they're at home? What happens if they miss one of those check-ins? Do you want to talk a little bit about those expectations?
Yes, so the schedule for the day is very similar to a schedule you have on a normal day here at school. We're 8:25 to 3:05. So across that span of hours, we have planned what that looks like for you, whether you're at home or you're here physically in person. We have to account for that time. So to say that we are providing services for you, it's really important. So we have planned, again, you'll see right in the schedule where those blocks of time are where you really should be working on your playlist and doing those check-ins. The check-in can be a short amount of time. You're not going to be necessarily required to Zoom in with anyone to let us know or see your face, but you need to do that check-in. And if we get to the point where kids are really not successful and falling behind, there may be times where we're going to ask you to do more of a Zoom check-in with that teacher that's available at that time to receive support. So, so there are 4 core classes, and in that schedule, it's scheduled for 3 hours for most of them, 1.5 hour for social studies for that online time. And then other than that, it would be if you have band or orchestra, there would also be a time for a check-in in there as well. And then I can't remember if PE we put a check-in in there for online. I don't think we did. But with PE, the expectation would be, again, that you are doing that physical activity and tracking it on your log. So.
And I wanted to add,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to add that the check-in does not mean that's it for that subject. I mean, the reality is that even when your child is at home, school is a school day. We are holding school for the same hours as if they were in person. And so that's what that playlist work is. And so even when the student has done the check-in with the teacher, then there's probably more work to do in that subject to make sure that they are doing the learning and that they are learning all that we can this year. So really, school is in session 5 days a week for a regular school day. It just looks very different, and we're here to support that difference as much as we can.
Yeah.
So when a family is looking at their student's schedule, how would they know if a Zoom meeting is a required piece or if that's an office hour style that's available?
So in the distance learning schedule, again, if they're on an A cohort, it will say on Tuesdays and Fridays would be their Zoom meeting, their Zoom lesson. It'll actually say on there, it's a different color and it says Zoom at the top. So those are the times that you must, during that time, Zoom in with your teacher and your cohort and receive your instruction in your lesson. Anything that's in a different color on the opposite days of that, it would be on a Monday and a Thursday in that example. No, that's not right. The other days, the days that say very clearly online at the top, those are the days you're doing the check-in. Those are the days that you're checking in, like Ms. Bledsoe just described, and then working on your playlist in your own time, in your own pace during that time would be, again, what we highly recommend so that you're staying on track with completing a week of school.
And if this is still really feeling like really different and confusing to a family, whatever is available to them on September 8th, they can check in a really small group, whether that's a live class or that check-in Zoom, in a much smaller group of 12 people. They can check in and the parent can sit beside them and make sure they really understand
yes,
the
and
schedule.
even
Because I know this is a really hard place because kids all have different schedules for us to explain each kid's schedule to them, but we will help them through that.
Yes, we will help. However, I really, really recommend, that's why I included an attendance expectations document with your schedule. So you got a schedule today and you got an attendance expectations document that really explains step by step with your exact schedule what you need to do to check in for those online days. So please, please, please read through those documents carefully. And then if you have questions after that, please call our office and we can help you talk through that if you're concerned about what happens on that first day.
This is a good question. Is the expectation that books we received at the Chromebook handout are to be brought to school each in-person day for blended learning, or those for home use only?
So Ms. Shively, do you want to take that one?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Please do not schlep that book back and forth to school. We have a set here for you. And if we need to use a book, we'll make sure you have it. But most of the work that you're going to be doing at home, if you're going to use that book, we want it to just be at home. The only thing we ask is that you don't leave it on the floor so that your puppy can chew on it, which my dog did, chewed the cover right off. And it's not anywhere where it can be destroyed. So up on a bookshelf, on your desk, something like that, your dresser, and then you'll use it periodically as we need to throughout some units of study. But a lot of the work that you're gonna see is gonna be online, and we'll use the book as we need it. And that goes for 8th grade as well. So if you're an 8th grade student, you did not get a textbook for US history, we won't crack into those until December, January. And so then we'll send those home when needed. But for right now, just take that book, treat it with kindness, write your name on the inside on that blank line, and then put it someplace where you know you can reach it, because as a 6th grader, when Mr. Oliveira and I assign some reading to do independently, then we'll want you to know that where that book is. So please do not bring it to school.
But that does bring up, please remember to bring your Chromebook every day in the case that was provided, and with your charger, have it fully charged would be the best way. But also, please make sure that you have your Chromebook with you each day that you come to school in person as well. That is the one thing you should bring.
And the district will send home a little checklist to help families remember all of these things that are a little different about coming to school. So you can make sure you've done your wellness screening, that you charged your Chromebook, you have that with you with the charger, since we know there's some new routines for everyone to get into for those in-person days.
I do see a question on here. Will parents have a way to know whether their students were checking in and doing work each day? So that's, again, where through Skyward, we are, after that check-in through Google, the classes, the teachers will be taking attendance for each class. So through Skyward, your parents, as parents, you will be getting that message. Students, please know your parents will get a message if you haven't checked in. And so we're gonna try to right away sort of flag which kids are sort of struggling with this process and make sure that they're not only just checking in, but we'll know by the end of the week with the playlists whether kids are doing the work as well.
Well, you guys move right along there. To take a step back about the book thing again, at least 6th grade science students are going to need to bring their paper book to class with them. And I don't know if that's for sure in the other 2 grade levels. We'll talk more about that when you come to class, but please do bring that book with you.
Or at least the beginning of the year also for 7th grade. Bring your science books and we'll sort out a plan.
I see some questions about a Chromebook problem already. So if we sent you a Chromebook and you're already seeing that it is not working, first, thank you for trying that before the first day of school. If you go to the e-learning page, you can click on tech support, and there's an email address there that you can email for Blue Heron tech support. And they will follow up with you to figure out if we can do a replacement. So it sounds like you have a workaround, which is you're going to keep it plugged in for now. And we are hoping that we will get teachers, but they might not have them by the first day of school, some plugs so that they can have kids charge anywhere. But a teacher will work with you until we can get you a Chromebook that stays charged to find a solution.
I did, and I know we're actually out of time. I'm going to take this one last question. There were a couple questions about the school supply list, and that really leads me to, I highly recommend, and especially for parents that are new to Blue Heron and those that don't already use it frequently, the Blue Heron website is updated frequently. We really do try to make sure that we communicate as much as possible, all this really important information. So please make sure that you star that or favorite or whatever it is you need to do to go to that Blue Heron website for any Blue Heron specific school questions. So supply list, that's where you'll see some of these important videos. If we have other information sessions such as this throughout the year, which typically we have a curriculum night that we'll probably try to do something like that virtually. So all of those really important announcements and things you need to know that are specific to Blue Heron, you'll find on the Blue Heron webpage. All right.
Well, if that was our last question, do you want to just say a thank you and close, and we'll end the meeting?
Yes, and Sarah, I know you have a fantastic way of capturing any of the questions that we didn't yet answer. And so I'll make sure again that if you check through the Blue Heron website, there will be a question and answer follow-up to this. I can make sure that that's put on there as well so that we can get to any questions that maybe weren't clear. So again, reach out, the office is open, and Donna and Jess are ready to answer calls, or you can also email. So thank you all so much for attending. Teachers, does anyone else have to add in, or want to add anything at the end here before we say goodbye?
It says hello.
Yeah, great.
We're looking forward to seeing you on the first day that you come to school. So bring all that usual energy, but also bring a mask if you would. We would love that we're all going to be together, and we're going to make it a great year. We're looking forward to seeing you.
And we're going to be great travelers together too.
Yes, and one more shout out to those 6th graders. We are here for you, and we're so excited to have you, and it will all be okay. So welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.